Good morning, everyone. We are now in the 9 days that mourn the destruction of our holy temples. And the rabbis tell us, why did God allow the destruction of the temple? Tell us, the rabbis in the Talmud, that it was because of the sin of sinat chinam, baseless hatred amongst Jews. And to illustrate what was occurring at that time, the Talmud tells us the famous story of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa. And the story is that there was a wealthy man in Jerusalem who threw a party. And he had a friend, a very dear friend by the name of Kamsa. And he had an enemy by the name of Bar Kamsa. And he invited Kamsa to the party. But mistakenly, the invitation was sent to Bar Kamsa. When Bar Kamsa arrived at the party, he said, "What are you doing at my party? I didn't invite you." And he threw him out of the party and publicly shamed him. Bar Kamsa was so hurt that he was thrown out of this party, and he also was offended by the fact that the rabbis present, who saw the way he was being thrown out, did not say anything. So he went to the Roman government and he incited hatred against the Jews, saying that they're not loyal, and he brought about the destruction of the temple through his slanderous words against the Jews in Jerusalem. And therefore our rabbis say, look what happened. Because of the way Bar Kamsa was treated, the hatred, the sinat chinam, that led to the destruction of the temple. But the question that is asked is, the Talmud says, because of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa, the temple was destroyed. And the question is, it really should have said, because of the host of the party and Bar Kamsa. They were both wrong. The host was obviously wrong for throwing Bar Kamsa out of his home, but Bar Kamsa was wrong for going to the Roman government and inciting the government with negative reports about the Jews. But why do we say it's because of Kamsa or Bar Kamsa? Kamsa wasn't even present at the party. He was the friend who was not even invited. By mistake, he was left out. So why do we say because of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa? And the Maharal Miprag gives a fascinating answer. He says Kamsa and Bar Kamsa is not just two individuals. It represents two groups of people. You see, Kamsa represents those people who are invited to the party in life. Bar Kamsa represents those people who are excluded, who are not invited. Sometimes there is the exclusive group, the elite group, the in crowd that gets invited, and then there's the outsiders, the outliners, who never get invited, the people who are excluded. And therefore, the Maharal Miprag says the word Kamsa comes from the word kometz, which could also mean narrowness. There's a narrow space and group of people that they are invited and included, but then there are people who are excluded. And therefore what the Talmud is saying is that because of this two different groupings within a Jewish community of the Kamsas and the Bar Kamsas, the people who get exclusive access and the people who are left out, that's the cause of the destruction of the temple. When will the temple be rebuilt? When will we merit redemption? When we learn to treat everyone with inclusiveness. When everyone is given equal respect and dignity and honor and love. And perhaps that's the reason why it's customary during the 9 days to make completions on tractates of Talmud. You see, during the 9 days, you're not allowed to eat meat or drink wine. But there's one exception. If someone completes an entire tractate of Talmud, he makes a siyum, a celebration of completion. And because it's such a joyous occasion, it overrides the restriction of not eating meat, drinking wine. And therefore, it's customary in Jewish communities every night of the 9 days to have a siyum. But perhaps there's another reason, and that is because a siyum, when someone finishes a tractate of Talmud, everyone in the community is invited. There's no exclusive invitations to some people while other people are not invited. Everyone's invited to come. And therefore the idea of making a siyum is not just to eat meat and drink wine, but to be able to rectify the mistake of Kamsa Bar Kamsa, and to say as a community, everyone has to have a seat around the table. Everyone has to be brought in. No one should be left out. Judaism and a synagogue is not like a country club that you have to have exclusive access or membership. Every Jew is welcomed into the Jewish community and everyone is embraced. And that is the greatest merit for redemption. You know, when we were in Israel now, our son Yosef, who's 15, had gone to a summer camp learning program in Tzvat, and he's spending 6 weeks there. And then Dini and I took Yehuda Tzvi on a trip to Israel. So we called the camp director and we said, we're in Israel traveling. Can we take our son out for 2 days to spend some time with him? And he said, of course, you could take him for 2 days. So we picked him up in Tzvat and we took him traveling together with Yehuda Tzvi for 2 days. And I want to tell you what one of the highlights of the 2 days with Yosef and Yehuda Tzvi was. On the second night, Yosef turns to Yehuda Tzvi and he says, "Oh, by the way, I brought you something." And he opens his little travel pack and he takes out a pack of Mentos candies, which are kosher in Israel. And he hands it to Yehuda Tzvi, his 9-year-old brother, as a gift. And I remember, until this moment, I felt such joy. When you see your children treat each other with kindness, with thoughtfulness, with love, such a simple gesture, a pack of candies that just cost maybe $1. But the fact that he said, "I'm going to see my brother, haven't seen him in a while, let me bring him a little pack of candy, let me do something kind and sweet for him." That interchange and interaction of love between siblings gives the parents the greatest joy. It could be something so small, but it was one of the highlights of my trip. And it taught me a very powerful lesson. When God looks down upon each and every one of us, every interaction, every loving exchange, every good deed that we extend to one another brings tremendous joy to God. And every hurt, every offense brings tremendous pain. Let us, especially during these 9 days, embrace everyone, include everyone, welcome everyone, treat everyone with the love, the kindness, and the respect that they deserve. Because after all, we are all brothers and sisters, and God is our Father in heaven. Have a wonderful day.